Hey guys, how you doing? This is Jane and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be doing a review of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, which I thought it was a great book. I wish I could just have come across that book. For me, it was really impactful, and it just motivates me to continue to learn about psychology and just study human life in general. And it's been a great influence in my understanding on how the world works and why we do the things we do. And I just think Jordan Peterson really breaks down every what he considers how you should live and how you should be in life. And so I'm gonna just go ahead and get straight to his 12 rules for life from his book. And so basically, the first rule is stand up straight with your shoulders back. He gives an explanation in that chapter with lobsters. Basically, when one lobster comes across the other one, the strongest lobster is gonna walk away. Is gonna end up with his territory. The strongest lobster is gonna end up um, the strongest lobster is gonna end up with the best mate, with the best food, with the more secure grounds. And you can go ahead and compare that to us humans. Usually, the smartest person is gonna end up doing the job that requires the most mental skill, verbal skill. And it really like sets the ground for us to understand competence is a really strong important thing. And which also explains why the guy with the I don't know, with the best appearance, with the greatest skill is going to end up with the best job, is going to end up with the best mate. And the guy the most well economically guy or person is going to end up with the best things, with the best food. And I remember reading in that chapter as well. Basically, when not one lobster encounters the other one, or they come together in a fight, there's levels. Basically, the two lobsters are gonna look at each other, and check out their size and stance. And they're gonna decide, like one or the other are gonna decide, oh, should we continue this fight or take a step back? And from that moment you go on to step two, which usually one of the first two takes the first hit. And depending on the damage one lobster does to the other one, then they're gonna consider whether or not going to stage three or not. And sometimes lobster fights usually end in death. And you can go ahead and compare that to real life. And I love the fact that he compares lobsters to humans. And I just think it's a really great comparison. So chapter one was amazing. And again, this is just a review of the book. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump on to rule number two. So rule number two says, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. That basically would mean, if I can remember straight, correctly, because I read this book a couple of months ago. Basically, sometimes we need to be well first in order for us to go ahead and help others. We have to put ourselves first, because if we're bad, if we do not take care of our health, of our financial status, of our people, then how do people expect for us to help them if we're destroying, if we're like not fully taking care of ourselves. Like, sometimes it's we sometimes um, we should like focus on ourselves and be better persons. Then we can go ahead and go and help the world. And we also should give the example of how we want the world to be. Like, so let's say, you want everybody to be a good person. So why don't we start off by being good persons ourselves first, and then start complaining, hey, the world's bad. Everything starts in the individual. So we're gonna go to rule number 3. So rule number 3 says, make friends with people who want the best for you. Of course, you don't want to be surrounded by people who are like super negative. People that are strongly negative. They influence you into doing. They get you to do bad things, even though they get you to do bad things unconsciously. Because it's not that they directly get you to do bad things, like, hey bro, take this drug, and you end up taking it. No, they influence you. And so you wanna clearly stay away from bad influences, and there are clearly bad people out there. So yeah, so like I wrote here, sometimes people have a low opinion of their own worth, or perhaps when they refuse responsibility for their lives, they choose a new acquaintance, or precisely the type who proved troublesome in the past. So, you know, this just basically means, when people don't, they don't feel like being responsible. They don't, they just let somebody else take the driver's seat, and control their life, and just be a copycat, and do, and imitate, whether it's bad behavior, good behavior, but they don't prioritize, their behavior and focus on themselves. So let's just go on to rule number 4. It says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone is. Okay, let's go over it again. I'm sorry, guys. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. So this basically means, we just have to, deeply analyze ourselves, and compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Not, don't compare yourself to other people. Let's pretend, you're in a job, and this is your office space, and next to you are 3 other little office spots, people sitting in their computers. And this year you made I don't know, 90,000, and for a fact that other people are making other ranges of money. The guy next to you might be making 120,000. The guy 2 seats down the road, down to the right or left, might be making 150K. So why compare yourself to those people when you can compare yourself to what you previously made the year before. So you wanna you basically you are at a current level, and you wanna make more money than last year. So it is you that has to work hard and become a better worker, a better person, a better businessman, a better barber, or a better engineer, or whatever you do. So stop comparing to yourself to other people, because in reality you're not really living a life, a life that you deserve to live, by comparing yourself to other people. And it seems a little bit, that goes a little bit on the side of what's that word, when you just you focus on, you're just like it's not selfish. It's like you're too nosy. You know, you just focus on everything on everybody else, but your own stuff. It's like you don't want people to succeed. If you're not succeeding, you don't want others to succeed. So that's just a bad mentality. I don't see any reason why people should be like that. And I see people at my own job like that, and it is really annoying. I mind my own business, the whole day, and I don't really care. If somebody makes 500K a year, congrats, they deserve it. They worked hard for it. But I'm clearly not gonna, focus on what they made and try to be like them. No, I'm trying to, become better every day. I clearly focus on, I try to focus on myself every day. If somebody becomes a millionaire tomorrow, that's good for them. I can learn from them, but I do not, compare myself with them, and I do not, I try to be my own person. I try to become my own, the best I could be. So let's go on to rule number 5. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. This rule, of course, I work at a barbershop, as you may know, because my first video right here on my channel, I make a video of me cutting hair and explaining how to do a haircut, so you would know that I'm a barber, of course. So this rule, which is again, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Well, in the barbershop, we have parents, bringing in kids, and they their sons are clearly, misbehaving, doing rude things, and just all over the place. And some parents unfortunately don't care, and I just think it's unacceptable as parents. And you really want to teach your child at all times how you would like them to behave. Because if you're not if you're not making your child disciplined, then that behavior is going to gradually get worse. And you're creating, as of right now, you have a 5-year-old, you have a 7-year-old, and in the future, when that young when that adolescent becomes a man and is 20 years old, he's going to be a monster. You are creating a monster right now. So yeah, don't be complaining about how bad your child misbehaves all the time, when you take your child to a lot of public places and you do not care, and you just ignore their behavior. You have to be on top of them. That is what it takes to be a parent. It's responsibility, and you become a responsible person by the responsibility your parents are supposed to teach you, supposed to train you, to be responsible. Let's go on to rule number 6. I'm sorry, guys. Just my computer for some reason went on the screensaver, and I had to type the password, and that shouldn't happen again. So rule number 6: set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. This rule is funny how I've seen many Jordan Peterson videos on YouTube, and I see people using this rule as something funny, and it is something funny. We don't want to be serious all the time. It's cool to crack jokes and all of that, but I find it funny that everybody uses it as as comedy, and YouTube videos and all of that. But this rule, I see it all the time. Politicians. I see public figures. Criticizing the world. I even saw Fidel. I've seen Fidel Castro. I seen him giving speeches. But I clearly don't have the patience, and I do not have my intentions of sitting through a whole Fidel speech at this time, because I don't care, and I don't want to get into politics because I'm just a psychology student, and my duty is to analyze the world and learn how the world works. And I do not want to criticize people, but I am not a communist, and I'm an American, and I'm very proud to live in Miami, and I do want to get to know the whole U.S. and I stand for my fellow Americans, and I'm in love with this country. So let's not talk about that anymore, because of course I love Cuba, but I want to see my Cuban country free, and it's clearly not free at this point. So so this rule, I have seen Fidel Castro criticizing the world while his country is falling apart, and that's very easy for politicians to do. I see them do that all the time. So they just basically go, so this country and that country, stuff, bad stuff is going, wrong in a couple of countries, and they clearly, their house is not in perfect order, and it's not even in decent order, and they don't do nothing about their country, and they don't talk, they don't even recognize, the problems that are going on in their country. And it's very easy to just focus on every country, of course, because there's bad things happening all over the world, at all times. Of course, there's bad things and good things, but before you go on and criticize the world, fix your own goddamn country, and then criticize the whole world. And that's what even world leaders are not doing. So of course, a bad person to me would be somebody that steps out of their own house, and starts criticizing his neighbor's house and his neighbor's car, and it's like, hey, this goddamn fool has a ugly ass truck, and his house, his roof is damaged. And sometimes, unfortunately, these people that are always criticizing others, their house is falling apart. They don't even have a job. So why focus on other people? And this is what this rule is about. So let's go on to rule number 7. And I'm sorry for getting into politics and all of that. And it's just not. I wouldn't really categorize it politics. I would make the category of nonsense when it comes to Fidel Castro and whatever is happening in Cuba. They're just nonsense. So let's go on to rule number 7. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. So, of course, well, the way I interpret this rule, let's read a little bit about what I highlighted on the text. So, okay, so something better might be attained in the future by giving up something of value in the present. Future is a judgmental father. Sacrifice now to gain later. Yeah. So it just basically means that so let's talk a little bit about myself. Instead of me being able to work as I always did for 5 days a week, I work 3 days a week: Monday, Friday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Instead of working 5 days a week like I used to do before. So the reason why I sacrifice now is that, so I could go to college and, have a better education, work on bigger projects. But you clearly have to sacrifice some things on the present to gain a little bit more in the future. And that's just how it works. This is basically, what this is, what this rule is about. People, unfortunately, people are used to, just going out there and, getting everything at the moment. And if they don't get it, and if they don't get everything at the moment, they get depressed or they don't like it. And I understand why, people like everything at the present, and really quick. And and we just have to learn how to, make sacrifices, because, I have felt for some time now that a lot of things that, of great value, they come when you are able to sacrifice something in the present so you can have something bigger in the future. And that's just how it works. So let's go on to the next rule. So this one is, tell the truth, or at least don't lie. So this rule, I live by this rule. You want to be a truthful person, because, in the end, people are gonna catch every lie that you ever, they're gonna find out, because the world is gonna develop, and stuff you said, last year, 2 years, people come back to you, they come back to your life, and you know you could lie today, and you start forgetting, the lies you said last year. And when people remind you again of, something you said in the past, they just catch you. And so let's read a little bit about what I wrote on the text. So, what should you do when you don't know what to do? Tell the truth. Exactly. Uh, you can use words to manipulate the world. One second. So there's a story, Jordan Peterson says in his book, and it's just, he says that one day, I think it was a neighbor of his, or an alcoholic or something, went knocking in his door, and he tried to sell him a watch. And I think his wife, Jordan Peterson's wife, was the one who opened the door, and the guy, wasn't, violent or anything. He just wanted to sell his watch so he can buy a bottle of rum. And he was drunk when he knocked on the door. And Jordan Peterson just, told this guy, hey, I'm not gonna sell you. I'm not gonna sell you. I'm not gonna buy the watch from you, because you are gonna use it to buy more liquor. And that is what you should do. Just tell the truth. Even if it hurts people to know the truth. I'm not gonna sell you that. I'm not gonna buy the watch from you, because it's gonna hurt you, and you are gonna get drunk. And I don't want to be responsible for allowing you access to this drug or this beverage. And just work on being a more honest person. And that is what this rule is about. Let's go on to rule number 9. Assume that the person you are listening to might know something that you don't. I've worked on this rule, for a while now. Ever since I've been into psychology, I realized the importance of, sometimes when somebody's speaking, just let them talk, and let them get his point across. Because I think I have read in the past this from Socrates. We should walk around like we don't really know anything, because all we are ever doing is, getting information from this person, from that person, from everybody. So what I was saying, like Socrates. Well, I read something from Socrates a long time ago, which basically said that we should walk around like we don't know anything. And if one thing I truly know, if one thing I am for sure I know is that I don't know anything, and that's what Socrates says, and that's how we should be, uh, because all we're ever doing is in life is getting info from this person, from that person in this school, from this professor, from this from my friend, from my family, from my parent, and of course we invent things, we influence the world, but just like we learn from people, people learn from us. And so I've been working on allowing people to not interrupting people as they speak, because I am learning at every moment, and I just think everybody should work on that as well, and that's why this rule is so important. um, so uh, let me see if I can. Okay, it says here, when you are remembering the past as well, you remember some parts of it and forget others. So what can I say about that? Yeah. So let's just go on to rule number 10. Be precise in your speech. So basically, what I am getting, just by reading the title of this rule, um, is that you wanna like really work on your speech. You wanna be fluent in your speech, or you just don't want to talk. Basically, if you don't sometimes if you don't have nothing nice to say, just don't say anything, or be careful with your words, because they are like weapons. If you use it to persuade people, and you have a nice speech, and and your words are or ordered in perfect manner, then you can influence people, you can persuade them, you can get them to do whatever you want. And just as if your ultimate goal when you give a speech or when you say something to a person is to get them mad, get them angry, you know words apparently have a huge impact on the other. When you give the speech of the other person or the group's reaction, is your speech is ultimately gonna attract them more to you, or get them more separate from you. And so let's just go on to rule 11. Do not bother children when they are skateboarding. Uh, so of course, I read this rule. I read the book, like I said. That's why I'm making this video. But I also heard a podcast from Joe Rogan and Jonathan Haidt, which is a social psychologist. And this lesson, lesson. I mean, Rule 11 is just so huge. It's a topic that is extremely huge, and the reason why is because I understand that uh, you know in the U.S. The you know our kids are you know kids who are now ages from I'd say 2 to 13. Parents are allowing them less and less to step outside their homes, to socialize, to play in public parts, and hang out with kids. And that is the only way that a kid can learns how to test his limits, and plays a little rough with other kids. And sometimes those kids they put a stop on them. And sometimes they put a stop on the other kids, and it works vice versa. And it's just so important for, at a young age, to have interaction. And it's important for parents to realize that, just having your kid, playing the computer the whole day and not interacting with the world, it's not going to help them, when they become much older, when they become teenagers and they go on to middle school. By not allowing their kids to go outside and play, um, they're setting their children for ultimate failure. And it's bad to be a overprotective parent, because this life, there's certain stages to life. And we all know that when we get to that, age 50, 60, or whatever it is, eventually our parents are going to pass away. And it's just life is a cycle. And in that stage, when you're a child, a basic, there's a big importance of, um, whether or not, if you have the chance to socialize and interact with other kids, that's great. And that is something we should tell parents more often, that their kid is going to be more fun to play with if that kid learns how to interact properly with other kids. And the only way that is going to happen is by our parents, for example, letting us, with proper training at least, allowing us to step out of the house. And even if the trash bin, the trash can is a block away, by them giving us proper rules and teaching us, um, they should train their kid to go on and step outside the house and throw away the trash. And even if the parent has to give them a phone, so they can keep in touch while the kid is going outside and throwing the trash, that is clearly better than not allowing your kid at all to step outside. So that rule is extremely important. Let's go on to rule number 12. So it says, pet a cat when you encounter one in the street. People are social because they like them. They like the members of their group. Antisocial when vice versa. Okay. Cooperation, safety, security, and companionship. Competition, personal growth, and status. Imagine a being who is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. What does such a being lack? The answer: limitation. Being of any sort requires limitation. The demands of everyday life don't stop just because you have been laid low by a catastrophe. So rule 12, basically, by the title, pet a cat when you encounter one on the street, basically just means, appreciate life, uh, acknowledge when you see something great happening, and just, I guess we shouldn't focus, on everything bad that's going on in the world. We should focus on, everything good instead. And of course, don't ignore the bad things at all, because we have to learn, what not to do. But we have to also, be aware of the good things, because there are a lot of things going on that are good in the world. And that's just, basically it. I would give, if there was ever any rating I had to give to this book, a 10 out of 10. It was great. Um, I would like, for anybody watching this video to pick up a copy of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. It's a great book. You are clearly gonna gain something from it. Uh, and you can pass on, whatever you read, whatever makes an impact in your life. You can pass on that info to any of your friends, what I did is I gave that book to one of my friends. One second. So what I did was I gave that book to one of my cousins, and he already read the first chapter. I guess, just because he's young, he's not too much into that. Into psychology. He's gonna study. He's gonna go on and study computer science at a nearby university. But he read the first chapter and he said he really liked it, and I'm grateful for that. And we've talked about what I read on the book, and apparently he's liked it because he accepted, that I just gave that book to him, and so hopefully he reads it more. But yeah, that's what we should all do. When we see something of value, just pass it on, spread the word, and hopefully Jordan Peterson continues making great books like that. And I'm glad I read it, and I will continue to make more psychology videos. And it is my passion. I am learning every day. I am reading every day, and so that is all I have to share. If you guys have any comment on what I should make a summary about, or what I should do a review about, please leave it in the comments, and I appreciate all of you for watching. Thank you. Peace.